Craziest NBA body transformations. Let's talk about NBA players who came into the league in prime shape but then got kind of lazy and gained a lot of weight. And what about NBA players who didn't have much muscle on them in their rookie year, but after a few years of getting into the weight room, you can't push them around anymore? I wanted to make a less serious, quick video for today, so let's go into players who looked a lot different from when they were rookies. When Boris Diaw came into the NBA, he was a pretty athletic guy. He was only 215 pounds, and a member of the Phoenix Suns front office said when they got Diaw in 2006, he was probably the fastest player on the team from end to end. When he was on the Suns, he came into the gym during a pre-draft workout for their rookies. He was wearing flip-flops and drinking cappuccino. Diaw sees the vertical jump machine and asks what was the highest vertical jump on that machine. They tell him that Amari Stoudemire cleared the entire rack. So Boris puts down his cappuccino, takes off his flip-flops, and clears the entire rack on his first try. Then he calmly puts his flip-flops back on, picks up his cappuccino, and walks away saying, "That was not difficult." He then got traded to the Bobcats, and by the time he was in his last season with them, he got really overweight. Diaw was huge and looked nothing like his former athletic self on the Suns. Here's some funny stories from the Spurs about how they tried to manage his weight. Sometimes when the Spurs were up by 30 points, Popovich would just leave Diaw in the game just so he can lose some weight. And that's not all. Popovich said that the Spurs have a pool where you guess Diaw's weight and you have to start at 275 pounds. The Spurs even had a $500,000 bonus in his contract if he stayed at 250 pounds. He also did a Q&A on the Utah Jazz's Twitter, and someone told him he was fat. He responded with, "I'm not fat, I'm just big boned." Shout out to Boris Diaw, one of the biggest contributors to that 2014 Spurs championship team. On to the next player. Giannis came into the league very skinny. He weighed in at 196 pounds and needed a few years in the weight room so he could become more of a force inside. Now in 2016-2017, he was listed at 222 pounds and looks more ripped, and you can't push him around like you could in his rookie season. It took him a few years to get there, and now that strength is going to help him drive past defenses and dunk over the top of you. His rookie from his now picture is pretty crazy. I wonder where he's going to be at in a couple years. Maybe he'll push up to 235, maybe 240. We'll see. In his early years on the Bobcats, Raymond Felton was in good shape, but after the 2011 NBA lockout when he was on the Trailblazers, there was a time when he was overweight, and this picture right here at a basketball camp blew up in the NBA Twitter world because he visibly looked bigger than he was last year. Head coach of the Blazers at the time, Nate McMillan, said Felton's weight was the reason he struggled on Portland. McMillan said, "I think his weight had a direct impact on how well he played. When you're not conditioned to play, then you're going to struggle. You're going to turn the ball over. If you don't have your legs, your shot is not going to fall." Here's what Felton had to say about when he gained weight. "I had one year when I was out of shape. Now everybody wants to talk about my weight every year. It's kind of getting on my nerves. That's all you want to talk about. Don't make no excuses for me." And the jokes even reached the TNT broadcast. This is a real graphic right here. This was during the 2015 season when he was on the Mavericks. They put on the screen Raymond Felton under Mavericks injuries with food next to his name. Shaq came into the league as an athletic force. He was 7'1", 294 pounds. He could run up the court like no other 7-footers and rise up for alley-oops. We know Shaq's skill set. Dude was close to unguardable and was in great shape. By the time he was in the middle of his career with the Lakers, he did not look the same at all. In 2002, he was up to 341 pounds. Then in the 2004 season, his last year with the Lakers, he was up to 370 pounds. So from when he was on the Magic, he was 7'1", 290. That's an 80-pound jump, just crazy. There's a couple of reasons why Shaq gained so much weight. After the first championship, even though Shaq was overpowering basically every other center in the league, he felt he needed to gain more weight to take them on, so he had his personal chef overload his meals with meat and potatoes from 290 to 370 pounds, just crazy. Now, LeBron came into the league physically stronger than most rookies ever. He was already at 240 pounds, but you could see he could put on more weight and strength to fill out his body and become more of a force inside. And by the time he was in his last season with Cleveland, you can see the transformation from when he was a rookie. LeBron has been listed at 250 pounds for most of his career, but there's always been a question of what LeBron's real weight is. A few months before the end of the 2011 NBA lockout, LeBron measured in at 265 pounds at a workout with Chris Bosh and D Wade. It's been rumored that he has played in the 270-pound range. Brian Windhorst and other ESPN articles have said LeBron has played in the 260 and 270 range. Now, if you remember back in the summer of 2014 when LeBron posted an Instagram picture looking skinnier than usual, well, it was because the season before he entered the year in the worst shape he's been in a while. He was coming off a back-to-back championship, and obviously LeBron's worst shape is still better than most, but he lost 10 pounds to get back in stronger form. One of the most hated players by Knicks fans ever, Jerome James, was a 7'1" center on the Sonics, and he was in decent shape. He did well for them in the playoffs, but after his contract ran up, Knicks president Isaiah Thomas gave him one of the worst contracts in the NBA at the time, 5 years, $30 million, and very predictably, he never panned out on the Knicks and only averaged 2 points per game with them. Jerome was out of shape and was pushing 300 pounds, and Knicks fans hated him. He was traded to the Bulls, but got injured and then was waived. In 1995, Kevin Garnett's rookie season, he was pretty skinny for someone who was playing power forward or center. In today's game, it wouldn't be too bad, but back in 1995 when everything was back to the basket in the front court, he needed to put on some pounds, and he did get in the weight room, and by the time he was in the middle of his prime, he was at 240 pounds. KG has always had a lean frame, but you can tell the difference from the beginning of his career to his prime. Let's go into the last player on the list. In his prime, this dude Shawn Kemp was one of the most frightening guys to defend in the paint. He was 6'10" and could dunk over you with ease. He was ripped, athletic, and in great shape with the Sonics, but he lost that strength and went a bit downhill after he was traded to the Cavs. After the 1998-1999 NBA lockout, he showed up to the Cavs training camp at 300 pounds. He ended up getting down to 275 and was averaging 20 points a night and actually made the All-Star game for the Cavs that year. The picture from when he was on the Sonics to when he was on the Magic is wild. And that's it for me, just a non-serious video in the middle of August. I have more interesting player story videos coming up and NBA previews that should be interesting. So as always, I'll see you guys in my next video.